business.
Okay, I was
First
about to
off,
say, are we just jumping in? Okay.
yeah, first off, I want to ask you what you think about this album cover because I don't know if a lot of people have seen this album cover that are watching the podcast right now. So I'm gonna put it on the screen.
So we're addressing the album cover first. Is that what you
What did you
wanted to
think
ask?
about the album cover? Yeah.
Well, I will tell you this. One of the things that I have in my notes, and you can go check, and I'm trying to pull it up right now. Let me see
Uh huh.
where it is exactly. Hold on, because I have a ton of notes on a lot of things. Because
Okay.
a lot of
Well,
things
I
have
want
been.
people to look at the actual album cover. One of the things that people are pointing out on our other social medias when we posted the album cover about 30 minutes ago is the gun in the back pocket in the back of Kendrick's pants. You know, the things that stood out to me. Well, what you said was the headpiece that he's wearing. But the
Mhm.
things that stood out to me is the fact that I didn't know Kendrick had two kids.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. I mean, the children. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, well, we don't even know for certain if those are his kids. We
We
don't
don't
know
know
that for
that.
certain.
Yeah.
Right. But I will say this: the first thing that I thought about was something that was in my notes, which was the deification of Kendrick. That's something that's in my notes before we even seen the album cover. I actually took that note late last night when I was listening to Pimp a Butterfly and Damn in
Mm-hmm.
terms of the deification of him, because part of the deification and part of what's happened is something that you spoke to. Well, he's been gone for so long and he was so great when he left. And I've said this every time. It's not like anybody hasn't said that he wasn't great. It was that he was so great when he left. And there's a lot of stuff that's coming out that we need to address as far as, well, did he really leave technically? Now, based on what we're hearing,
Right.
and what level is it really at? Because a lot of people are like, well, Coop, you're always comparing Kendrick to the all-time greats when you speak about him. And, well, quite frankly, you all speak of him in that manner, in that regard, treat him that way, carrying him that way. Don't all the other greats kind of get held up that way? Like, aren't we the hardest on those who are the greatest?
Yeah, I mean, because
Don't.
LeBron could go out there put up 25, 10, and 5 and barely lose the game, and people are
Mm,
going to be very hard on him in ways where if James Harden went out there and put up those same numbers, they're like, well, he had a good game. He had a great game. Shout out to 007 in the building. Said Kendrick shows up, but not as great as people are making it out to be. The track is a B. An interesting album cover gives grown man maturing vibes for the direction. Madnan with the super chat says, with an album cover like that, it better be a classic. Well, he's on a high marker regardless. Like, I think people are going to be expecting a lot from Kendrick anyway. And I don't want to be that person where it's like our expectations are so high that, nothing is going to service it. But this is what I will say. And I know we're kind of jumping around, but I think this is all in scope of Kendrick.
mhm.
The Heart Part 5, my thing about it is I think it's a regular song. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's my thing. Like, I saw people like, this is life changing. This is like when I heard Stevie Wonder for the first time. And I'm going to read that on air, man. Because I thought that comments like that it takes away from us being able to enjoy the record because it's so overblown. It's not that. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It's not
Yeah.
that, and it's not a bad record. And I think that you giving it a C minus. I think I'm kind of teetering around a B. I was listening to it before I got back to the spot to do this, and all right, it's two things. It's a few things actually, and I know I'm all over the place, but believe it or not, Sunday when this song got released, me and my lady were cleaning the house and just listening to random songs. Marvin Gaye's "I Want You" came on, which personally is my favorite Marvin Gaye album. My dad's favorite Marvin Gaye album is "What's Going On." So, very familiar with that loop. And immediately when I heard this song, because people were sending it to me as soon as it got released, I'm already kind of like, okay, well, this is Marvin. You know what I mean? and maybe this is me coming fresh off the Black Star, hearing nothing but all new shit, new shit. And I hear this, and I'm like, okay, we haven't heard from Kendrick in 5 years. All right, we're hearing a Marvin Gaye loop of "I Want You." All right, boom. I'm like, already. I hate to say it, already let a grade down. Boom. And then so the verses come out, and it's like, okay, he's spitting. And then, after the song's over, because I heard the song and then I watched the video, I'm like, okay, it was cool. See the video, and I think more people are talking about the video than the actual song itself. And again, like you said in your post about the song, he added a visual aid for the heart this time when he didn't do that previously. And I think this one really needed that for the buzz. And if there's anything to take from here, there's two things I took from it. A, I think people are very, very happy that Kendrick is actually rapping. So the fact that he was rapping on this is a very good sign for the album, because that's what we wanted. We don't want him singing. And number two, his rollout, and I've said this on this show before, Interscope is the best marketing in music, period. No one touches them. Pusha T and whoever else needs to take note. This is how you roll out a project. And somebody was telling me that if they were going to put out Neck and Wrist, they should have had visuals for it. And I was like, nah, they probably didn't need that. People don't watch music videos anymore. This just proved me wrong. If Pusha T would have put out Neck and Wrist and they would have had visuals like this one did, like a day before the album, his numbers would have doubled what they were. If this is how they were trying to market. You know what I mean? Because they were clearly trying to market to a mainstream. LP says, told y'all, no objectivity from fans anymore. Well, fans are fans. And, I think that at this point, the fans are rooting for Kendrick and they want him to win. We all want Kendrick to win. But I'm not going to sit here and act like this song was like on some Stevie Wonder ass level, which is what somebody said. But go ahead. I'm going to find that comment. I just said a lot, I know. I'm going to let you defend yourself because people are coming at you.
I mean, Mike, you said a whole lot. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to tie in some of your comments and reflections that echo some of my sentiments and just more diplomatically stated than how I typically state it, which is what you typically do better than me. Sorry, did we have... I know what happened. Sorry, hold on 1 second. Did I go out for a second?
No, you did for a second, but you back now. Thumbs up in the chat, man, so we can get this circulating to more and more people. We got like 233 people in the room.
Okay,
and I'm sure these people were coming at you, so let them know.
No. First of all, let me say a couple things. I'm an asshole and I can be condescending. That doesn't mean some of the things that I'm saying are not valid. Now, you want to know what? The C- might have been a little too tough for him. While I was waiting for you, Mike, I sat here and I listened to the song about 5 or 6 times, just back to back repetitively. The C- is a little too strong, so I could see it being like a C+ or a B-, but not much more than, and I say that respectfully because of his catalog and because of what I did last night when I got home, which is after I got settled in, I listened to Pimp a Butterfly and Damn back to back consecutively. And so I was up till about 3 a.m. doing that. And there is no way that you can, in all honesty, and I want to break down these albums today since people are saying the things that they're saying. Like, there's no way that you can listen to the songs on those 2 records and tell me that this record is life. Like, we don't have to compare him to anybody else. We can compare him to his last 2 albums, and where this record would fall within his last 2 albums is I'm not certain that it would make it. So, like, don't tell me that it's life. So
and it's probably not going to make this album either. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, that's the other part of it. So no, Mike, for real, like, I want to get a chance to unpack all of this. First of all, you and I were very clear about stating, well, we're talking about a song that's never made an album before in the series, and we don't think this one is either. So even if we gave it a C-, we're giving a C- minus to a song that, quite frankly, isn't really about to go anywhere anytime soon unless you're a hardcore fan of his. And the C minus may be strong, but so are people's sentiments to the point about a song that's not about to make the album. Like, we all know this song is not making the album. Now, some of the things that I was saying, I just want to clarify a little further. First of all, if I could go back and reflect again, I would probably take the C minus, make it more of a C plus or a B minus, just truthfully. In relationship to what I heard last night, I can't honestly tell you that this song would make either one of his previous two albums. It sounds like something that is To Pimp a Butterfly throwaway, which would put it like on that untitled, unmixed, unmastered sessions kind of vibe, which has its moments, this song has its moments, but after the moments are gone, it's just an okay song. It's cool. So if you want me to say that it's good, but like you said, when people are talking about it like it's life or comparing it to Stevie Wonder in any sort of shape or referencing specific Stevie Wonder songs and albums to do so, I do think that's going too far, even if you feel like my rating of it was a little bit too harsh. Now, there's a couple things that I want to say.
Let me get to the super chat, and I'm going to let you do that because I want to get these in. Andrell Green says, did y'all see where the New Jersey rapper AK said that Kendrick was biting the visuals for his family trees from 2020? His statement is valid. Okay, we'll get to that too because we did see that and we did post that. I know you guys were posting that on our Twitter. And there's another super chat I want to get to, and I'm going to let you go ahead and go. Mad Max says, my beef with K-Dot is the Christ Savior complex disguising and he claiming that he's the knowledge and knows about the Israelite heritage. He uses that to sell. So a lot there. We're going to get to all that.
Right. That's what I mean about the deification. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. And yeah. Go ahead. Is there anything else, or can I continue?
Well, you can go ahead and go. And I'm gonna get to that comment where people were overblowing this. But yeah, you were getting to your notes. That was all the super chats for right now.
I realized something when all of this started happening. Well, first of all, we're the hardest on our legends, and we're supposed to be. Like, if you are better than everybody else, we're supposed to hold you to a higher standard. Why would we hold you to everybody else's standards when you're better than everybody else? You brought up LeBron. I have KD in my notes, and I told you this last night, Mike. I don't feel the same way about KD right now. And I'm not until he does something about it, because it's like, well, we've all looked at you like you're this. Well, you look like that.
The people that I have in the top 10 in the prime of their careers wouldn't have went out like KD went out in this
swept in the first round. Swept in the first round in a season where you just averaged like 30 points and 7 assists and like 9 rebounds. Like, no. Like, you just averaged you pretty much averaged 39 and 7, and like you went out in the first, like, and you had Kyrie, and it's like, I know Kyrie is very problematic. You want to talk about the definition of very problematic? A very problematic T-shirt, and put Kyrie ass on the T-shirt. That's who deserves to be on the shirt.
Right.
Put that nigga on a shirt fast. Did you hear the GM today? The GM was pretty much saying, yeah, if Kyrie don't want to play, we're going to try to trade him or just send him.
Kyrie already told you, though, if you trade me, I'll quit.
Big Kane signed. So, Mike, you want to know what, Mike? I'm fine with that. He really hasn't done much outside of, like, helping LeBron one time when he was healthy. One time he was healthy, he helped LeBron. That was it.
Well, I think one of the big things that people had issue with you saying is the fact that, you know, he needs to stop saying bitch so much.
Well, that's because they deify him so much, and he deifies himself so much like he's righteous. So let's go to the other guy that I brought up, which was Rakim, because Rakim is called the God MC. Mm-hmm. And Chuck B is considered, I think, to be our conscious in a lot of ways in hip-hop terms. When we go to the rhetoric about what is positive in an MC in hip-hop, I think we tend to go to Chuck D. And when we talk about the deification of the MC, we tend to go to Rakim. You want to know what both of those guys don't do? They definitely don't use the word bitch, but they barely curse at all. Yeah. You feel what I'm saying? So when you all are going to deify him on that level, we'll understand that there's already a standard that's been set by guys that are kind of deified on that level, and those guys don't curse. So why are we giving him a pass? That's really the overall point that I'm making. And I have a specific point about it. I didn't hear Rakim curse until Mahogany. That's track 8 on album number 3.
Wow. A lot of words.
You hear what I'm saying? So if he wants to be called the God MC, it's like, well, the God don't curse because, well, our God really, well, he doesn't curse. You get what I'm saying? So when you all deify him on a certain level, well, I'm going to, see that and pick at that because there are guys like Chuck D and Rakim who barely curse at all. And that's kind of the standard, isn't it?
Is it a generational thing though? I mean, because once hip hop turned that corner into NWA and cursing came in the game, there was really no turning back. There wasn't any other mainstream MC that you would ever find that was gonna go straight clean. And then, and that was my thing too when they talked about Will Smith and when Eminem said what he said. Eminem don't have to curse in his raps to sell records. Well, I do, and fuck you and fuck him too thing. It's like, well, you understand, and I'm sure he understands. Will Smith comes from that era before MC started cursing like that. So it wasn't one of those things where he was trying to be a goody two shoes coming in the rap game or something. This guy came in '88 when nobody was cursing. That's just his style, and he kept it.
But when you're comparing him to Stevie Wonder, like it's not like you're even y'all.
Let me read the comment. Let me read the comment that I sent you. Somebody said in the Kendrick Lamar video, it was Rashida A. She said, "This piece has shifted something within me, aching to the clarity I felt the first time that I heard Tupac's Brenda's Got a Baby back in 1991 and Stevie Wonder's Ass. That familiar feeling that knowing that you are no longer who you were before you heard that song is immeasurable. Thank you for making it happen." Now, the song wasn't that. I'm sorry. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know what that person is feeling. And maybe I shouldn't. Maybe that's out of line. But come on, man.
Hold on. And I want you to understand. And this is what I have in my notes. And this is my first time really like going deep in my notes and really knowing my notes. But I want people to read all of my notes. Listen to what I'm about to say, Mike. And you would probably know this. I've been harder on Cole than I have been on Kendrick. Listen to what I said about Cole. Have I not? Have I not been?
No, I agree. I think both of us have. I think both of us have.
Listen to what I said when Cole's last album came out. I said we may need to change our expectations on how we view him as a whole, as an all-time great MC. Now, from the moment that I said that, he proceeded to murder everything in sight since. And I am not taking credit for it in any sort of shape, form, or fashion, because it's definitely not my doing. But he has responded in a manner, because I haven't been the only one to really critique him like this, actually. He has responded that it makes you look at his peers. It's like, well, what y'all got for him right now?
Yeah. And he's out-rapping everybody right now. J. Cole is.
Everybody right now. And I've said that about him for a while. I've got up here and said on a while and talked about how he needs to stop producing his own stuff. I've talked about him as a producer. I've talked about the distance between him and Kendrick in terms of second place in this weak climate. When I am partly talking about this weak climate, I am talking about the distance between them two that I see in the album making quality. I have sat up here and said that Forest Hills Drive might on a good day land third or fourth in Kendrick's catalog. Now, how am I being hard on Kendrick when I'm saying those things about Cole in relationship to who?
To Kendrick. And you've also said that Kendrick's, at least when you wrote your damn review, you said Kendrick was top 10. I was saying the same thing. Clayton is Sleep with the super chat says, it's a solid song, but like Coop talked about with To Pimp a Butterfly, the replayability isn't there. Is he saying anything new? Not really, man. None of it hit me. It's funny, when I was driving around and listening to it on the way here, I felt the same way. I'm like, I hear what he's saying, especially what he was doing on the last verse. Again, some of the perspectives is, whatever, but it was like, I hear what he's trying to do, talking in the perspective of Nip and all that, and I was like, but it just doesn't grip me like that. And I guess it was gripping other people because they compared it to when they heard Brenda's Got a Baby for the first time in 1991. Vincent Hughes with the super chat, and I'm going to get to you, Coop, my bad. He says, you don't compare legends to role players. Do you talk about Ron Harper when you speak of MJ? Okay. So also, Little Brothers can't stop us making better use of the sample. Carry on. Little Brothers can't stop. Oh, Yeah, Can't Stop Us makes a better use of the sample. Carry on. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, they did actually.
Okay.
But what were you about to say, Coop? My bad.
Well, I was actually thinking about the other people that I've gotten on since we started doing this show, and there might be a theme to this. Did I not get on Kanye about Donda?
You did. You hated Donda. I love Donda. And so, but see, the thing is, I think when you talk about certain artists or when you critique certain artists, let me say that when you
No, it's cool to
critique,
hate Ye. No, it's okay to hate Ye. It's
it's
okay when I
okay to
hate
hate.
Ye.
Yeah, I
When
ain't
I
talking
hate
about him.
when I
I'm
talk shit about Ye, nobody says anything. He
no,
named
but
the
I'm just
album
saying
after his
people.
mama. He named the album after his mother that I don't like, and nobody says anything. But this guy releases a song that's not even going to make his album, and I need to be canceled.
Yeah, we lost subscribers that day, but we got them back. So I guess people ended up coming back. But what I was gonna say, man, when you talk about people like Kendrick, Beyonce, Jay Z, and you critique their work, if you don't like it, you're a hater.
Well, guess who the next person I was about to say? The only other time I've caught smoke for talking about somebody is Jay.
Yeah.
And the only thing I really said about Jay is that I don't think he's better than Nas.
Well, we never got lost any subscribers for that,
No, we didn't lose any
though.
subscribers. You want to know what? Our my best and my healthiest debates online with people like Leroy and Unc and others is because of that. It's some of the best online debate stuff. Mike, the Jay Nas debate was some of my best in-person debate stuff. It's probably the best hip hop debate ever.
Yeah.
You know,
LP
when you look at
says
it over a length of time and over a course of time.
LP says whoever unsubs shows they're more biased than yours. Coop went hard on Black Star and still gave them a 5. Y'all showing true objectivity. Right. Because yes, you did go hard on Black Star. We both, I mean, you more so than I. My whole critique was just about how they were putting it out. But when the album dropped, it was like, you know what? This shit is banging.
It still is too.
And you know, and I don't want people to think that, you know, we're first of all, people think that we don't want Kendrick to win, right? My whole thing, 5 Year Break isn't great. I don't love the name of the album. I feel like if he didn't put out anything by the Super Bowl, he probably didn't have any heat. I'm just saying, right? And those are just observations here. I didn't like the letter. You know what I'm saying? So these are just observations. I don't want people to feel like I want to be right so bad that even if this shit is To Pimp a Butterfly level, I'm not going to admit it. That's not how we work here. And like LP just said, that Black Star rollout should show you the same thing. Because if you go back to the previous episodes before that Black Star album dropped, we were like, whatever, you know, show me the music. And then they did.
Okay, so I want to go to the thing about people saying, well, hold on, let's go to a few different things because I got stuff like everywhere. A lot of people feel like we've been biased on here or don't like my perspective or my inability they feel to pivot or move off. Well, I'm sitting here on a pivot, actually. I was on the side of things about Kendrick as most people that are attacking me now. But because of the Andre thing and about how I like to be consistent, which goes down to the work, which I think we're about to address, a lot of my sentiments about Kendrick hasn't been about the work. I think the work has been great. I've questioned the replay value of To Pimp a Butterfly. And we're going to get to some of that because some of that I'm very right about and some of that I'm wrong about. And we're gonna unpack that because I want to unpack that because of some of the things that people have said to let people know that like I'm listening clearly and closely, like to all things all the time. But I've pivoted about on this show. I've pivoted based on your thoughts and sentiments about Andre 3000, who is personally probably up there. Like until you converted me on a lot of that stuff, Mike, I would put Andre 3000 right between like Nas and Pusha T in terms of like my favorite MCs ever. It was Nas and Andre and Pusha. You know what I mean?
Andre's still one of my favorites, but he's disqualified from a real greatest MC conversation. Yeah.
Right. So a lot of the same things about Andre apply to Kendrick. And so that's why I've gone on this show and literally said twice in the last 4 episodes, I think, that I'm thinking about sliding Equipment down because it's not aging as well. You know,
Mm.
I,
I
I
feel,
do change. Like when I say sliding it down, I mean it's like, well, hasn't Doggy Style held up better? Hasn't the Purple Tape held up better? It's like, well, that's what I have right behind Equipment, so I might need to slide it down. So I do change my mind about stuff. Mike, I just came on here and talked about how I just gave it to you and said you got it on People's Instinctive Travels based on the conversation I had with my cousin Six when he was talking about all the homies riding on their bike and then beatboxing. And I was like, to what song? They were like, every song. We all
pushing
knew the words to
along,
every song.
footprints.
And we're
But what
gonna
I
get
will
to
admit though, like I mean, I love People Instinctive from A Tribe Called Quest for the people who are
yeah.
just tuning in.
So,
But I
I,
listened to the Low End Theory the other day. It's a much better album,
it
and I will
is. It
admit
is.
that.
It is. I say I'm not saying that to rate the quality of Tribe's album. I say that it's like, no, my mind can be changed. I'm also objective in the fact that I've argued with people on here vehemently about how I don't think the version of I Am that got released by Nas is that good. Now, don't I?
Yeah.
And if you bring up Nostradamus, Mike, I'm liable to snap on you. Like every time Big Girl comes on, I cringe. Okay.
Yeah, we did rank the
Every time,
5 weakest Nas records, and that was up there. Oh, let me go to
like
these
every
super chats real quick. Ross Mando says, Mike, I know this week is about Kendrick, but can you please speak on Pitchfork's Black Star album review? Said the most and quality lacked chemistry, and the sound was disappointing over leftover Mad Lib beats. You know what? I just pulled this up. Pitchfork gave No Fear of Time 6.2 out of 10. We may have to speak on
didn't
that.
they give King's Disease 2 like a 6.1?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Problematic.
First Buddy says, my only gripe with Kendrick is his consistency. Only gripe with Kendrick is his consistency. But he does drop. But when he does drop, I'm not gonna pretend it won't matter. Coop nitpicks with rappers he doesn't like. I think he means that his gripe is his consistency and the fact that he hasn't come out in 5 years. Maybe that's what he means.
Well, let's address this because that's why I brought up the other people that I've nitpicked. Well, I don't nitpick really like people that I don't like. I nitpick people who are great.
Yeah, you got to nitpick the top 10 because it's a small margin of difference.
Listen to the people who I'm critiquing harshly. Nas for I Am and Nostradamus. Well, I can think he's the greatest MC of all time. Well, Jay-Z. Well, I have him at number 5 on my personal list and number 2 all time objectively. Kanye West. Look at who I'm rating harshly. Didn't I just rate Pusha T harshly? Isn't he one of my personal favorites?
Yeah.
I rate the people who are greatest the toughest. Is that not Kendrick Lamar?
That's what you should do. Milkshaw Benedict says you got to give Kendrick credit for challenging the status quo of rap and rap can sound like though. Not a lot of rappers are this soulful nowadays. Not on a mainstream level, I guess you could say.
If you want to approach it from that level, fundamentally about it being a more soulful approach to hip hop in terms of like the growth and development of it. That's why I want to address To Pimp a Butterfly specifically, because on To Pimp a Butterfly is listen to this. It's soulful, it's funky, and it's more concise than this record.
This isn't his soul though. This is Marvin.
on almost every song individually, and then it's like, well, how is a song that's not like a Marvin Gaye sample from one of his most soulful albums and one of his most soulful periods not gonna come off as soulful? How is it not gonna come off that way? It's Marvin Gaye's I Want You.
Like, exactly. It's Marvin Gaye's I Want You. I mean, you could put Plies over that. Whoever. It's soulful. It's I'm just saying.
Janet Jackson, no, you're right. He took Janet Jackson and made it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kenneth Palmer says, if you really look at the lyrics and what he's saying there, it's a bunch of great quotes and brilliance in his wordplay. The Marvin flip is amazing. See, a lot of people feel that way, but where are the quotes on there that are so guess, astonishing?
Well, that's the part I want to unpack. So let's go right here to, I think, the part, something that I said that I think tickled, got to people a little bit, which was the word salad comment. First of all, word salad isn't always a bad thing. Like some of your best hip hop artists ever are great word salad kings. Um, Thought's a word salad king. Pun is a word salad king. Royce is a word salad king. These guys, Eminem's in there too. These guys have all made joints where there's a lot of fly words in there, and it doesn't necessarily resonate to being some sort of a classic or world changing song. Kendrick's no different in that regard. So when I'm saying that it's a word salad, I'm saying that, like, no, he's lyrically precise, but it's not connecting on the level that he even typically connects if you go look back at his two previous albums, which is what we're about to do. I'm not comparing it to like Nas and Magic. I'm not comparing it to how I feel about the Black Star album. I'm saying, well, if you go look at how he connects on these black things and this social consciousness that seemed to have taken a hold of him since Good Kid, Mad City, as he's become, a grown man, what you'll find is that, well, he makes great songs and that are very concise and lyrically brilliant and conceptually brilliant that express the same things as this record and they connect better. And I'm literally about to go to them. And
What?
You're not going to be able to tell me that these records don't express the same themes as this record and it's not done better and more concisely with better production. And it should be because these are the songs that are on To Pimp a Butterfly and Damn. This record's not going to make an album.
Okay, we're about to get to that. I know we got like 300 plus people in the room right now. I want to ask you, what does this album cover say to you? Like, what? I mean, if you have to give any predictions of what this album's gonna sound like, just based on the title, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, and this album cover, what does it say to you?
I'm not I'm not totally loving the cover, Mike, but that's more faith based. I told you like about that is that a crown of thorns?
Yes,
I
it
think
is.
it is.
It is a crown of thorns with the gun in the back of the
I'm not
gun.
concerned with the gun in the back. It's like you have on a crown of thorns. So like who are you trying to do an interpretation or like what are we doing? Like, because you have to be careful about that because it's like at that place, it's like, well, what do you believe in and who you to believe in and how do you believe it? Because, you have to beware of false prophets. You understand what I'm saying?
No,
And
that's real. You've said that on shows before.
I'm
Man,
not saying
my
that
Wu
in
Tang
jest
shirt
at
got
all.
caught up. I
Listen,
got a damn snag
I'm
here.
not saying that it's jest. I'm not saying that it's taking a shot. I'm saying when you were literally getting on your album cover and putting on a crown of thorns.
No,
When
you've
I'm
said
looking
that about
at
Kanye before, and
you got to be careful about this stuff because this stuff is written about how the people who you follow the most are the people who you should follow the least. And if you go down to it, the guy who ended up with his crown of thorns, you know how that guy ended up with the crown of thorns? The people who actually were thought to have believed the most and know the most about the Lord are actually the person that crucified him. You get what I'm saying?
right.
So it's like you have to be careful when you have a following as such that I make a comment about you that it affects our subscriptions.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't have any immediate feelings, but I don't love it from the perspective of what it is that I believe in personally. Like, but I also too I'll separate that from the music. Like because KRS-One is on the cover, of an album, with a depiction of Malcolm X, and quite frankly, it's like that album's fucking brilliant.
Right, right.
So the music at the end of the day is where the past comes, and so you
Well, what
know,
do you think the approach is going to be? I mean, because even outside of the thorns or whatnot on his head, I'm thinking family, right? And I don't know, maybe it's giving me life is good 444 type of vibes when it comes to the mood. Now it can be totally off and totally tricked by this, and he comes on some DNA type shit. Who knows? But I think that just based on what we got from the Heart Part 5, if that is any indication of the soulful mood, I think this is going to be a little jazzy. I think it's going to be more of a To Pimp a Butterfly. It's going to be more To Pimp a Butterfly than Damn, if that makes any sense.
yeah, no, it definitely gives off those vibes. Hold on, so people are bringing up the whole Nas Hate Me Now thing. No. I hated the whole Nas hate me now thing too with the crown, like and all that. I was like, what are you doing? I was like, nobody's crucifying you like that. Like it was written as great. It's like, get out your feelings. Like I hated when he did that shit. That was super weak. It's one of the dumbest things he ever did as an artist, actually. Like I know it helped his album sales, but like I hated the Jesus, like I hated the whole Jesus being involved with Hate Me Now with Puff of all people. And quite frankly, that's back when I was like a big sinner and not even the believer that I am now. And like I didn't agree with that. Like I didn't agree with that then. I definitely don't like agree with it now. I agree with Hate Me Now, like even less now as a grown man than I did then, and I didn't like it then. So people like need to be careful. Like I'm reading these comments, it's like, no, that's not the truth. Like I feel the same way about Hate Me Now is about how I feel about this cover right now. It's like, oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Like it's not like that with you. It's like you're not that, because that goes back to even that comment. It's like, well, you got to start leveling this shit out. It's like, well, did you make Thriller or even Purple Rain to like even feel that way about yourself in that space to deify yourself like that? Because like those guys don't do that.
I think my thing with Kendrick and maybe and
Be
again,
wild, dude. Like these rappers be wild, Mike. They be like trying to deify themselves like Christ sometimes.
you're right. But see,
Not included.
I think my thing with Kendrick in this fashion is like, even with the artwork for the Heart Part 5. Did you see that breakdown where all the hands, one of the hand was coming from OJ and Kobe, and all that stuff. It's like Kendrick never really explains any of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I think for me, that's one of the things like, okay, well, what exactly does OJ have to do with anything? What is your stance on OJ? And like I said, what does it even mean? It's like everything's left for interpretation. And when you do that, you're all over the place.
That's exactly
And
what
for
I'm saying.
me,
That's fine.
that doesn't, like, I respect when, I don't want to sound like I don't respect it, but you know what I mean? Like, I respect when people, even if I don't agree with their stance, give a stance. I don't like all of this, like, you just throwing everything out there and up for interpretation. I don't have a stance on anything. You know what I mean?
He does leave a lot to your interpretation, but I think a better way of putting it is that, well, these thoughts, like I said, are part of why I gave the lyrics such a low grade is based on what I know he's lyrically capable of, Mike.
Yeah.
He is capable of being so much more concise than this within this same themes that he is expressing. To Pimp a Butterfly is a prime example of him expressing these black motifs